A really cool technique to do is when you change a photo from color to either black and white or sepia, which is kind of the browny tan color. And then you add back in a little splash of color. It's called color splash. So we can do that with Pixlr Editor quite easily. I found a picture on unsplash.com. I'm going to right click, copy the image address, and in Pixlr Editor, open image from URL. Control V to paste it in. OK, and it'll load it in. Now, alternatively, I could just download that picture and then file, open image, and then just find out where I saved it, load it up. Doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do here essentially is this. We're going to make a copy, a layer, a duplicate layer of this particular picture. And we're going to turn it black and white. Then you'll see what happens. So I'm going to start by going over to my Layers tab, and I'm going to right click. This is my background layer. I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate the layer. Now you can see I've got two different layers here. The background, they're identical. I'm going to start with this background copy, this new layer that's on top. You can see it's above here, so it's on top of the background. Anything that's on top will cover up something that's underneath. So the real process I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn this background copy black and white, and then I'm going to delete away some of the pixels such that what will show is what's underneath, which is the color. So let's first make this black and white or sepia. I'm going to start with that layer that's above the background copy, and I'm going to go to the Adjustment tab. For black and white, it's going to be called Desaturate. So check it out. I'm going to uncheck this layer now so you won't see it anymore. There's the layer underneath, the background layer. Here's a new layer that's on top. Now, if I didn't want to do black and white, if I wanted to do sepia, I'm going to Control Z to undo that. I could instead go sepia for the adjustment. It doesn't really matter how you do this, but I'm going to choose Desaturate. So here's my black and white background copy on top. If I uncheck it, there's my background underneath. So what I'm essentially going to do now is use a tool called the Eraser tool, and I'm going to erase the pixels off the black and white part. And they're going to disappear. And because it disappears, you're going to be able to see what's beneath it, just where I've deleted those pixels, which is the color version. That's how we're going to get only the pink to show up. Now I'm going to need to zoom in a little bit, okay, on this. And you can do that with this navigator thing. You can click it, the mountains larger, smaller. You can type in numbers for percent, or you can just drag it. It's up to you. So this gets pretty precise. When I click on the eraser tool, notice that I have a brush, a shape and a size. And if I click down, you can see I can make these brush sizes bigger. I can make the shape bigger. Here's a hard edge, here's a soft edge, square, etc. There's different kinds. Play around with what works best for you. I'm going to start with a fairly small one. So I'm going to go to my background copy layer, select it, and I'm just going to start deleting these pixels. Click and drag, or you can just click, click. Notice what's happening. I am deleting these pixels, but only from this black and white layer. So it's going to show what's underneath, which is the exact same copy of this. It's like as if you had two copies of your picture, one on top of another, and you stack them on top, and you were just taking a pair of scissors and cutting out part of that picture. That's really all we're doing here. So that is how you do the color splash, and it's really up to you whether you want to click and drag your mouse or just do clicks. You want to change your brush sizes to larger, to go over larger portions, and then just do the edges with a more precise brush because look, I can't get any closer than that. So it's really up to you how you want to do this. It's going to take a little bit of fine work, maybe some zooming in, but using those brushes, you can then get rid of the black and white pixels or sepia pixels that you don't want, and then there you will have your color splash image, which you can, once you're finished, file, save. This one doesn't really matter whether it's JPEG or PNG. We don't really have any transparent parts, so it doesn't have to be PNG. So it can be JPEG. It's up to you. And that is how you use the color splash.